Welcome to episode 307 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the something old, something new edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host. And as always, I'm with my co-host, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, gentleman and a scholar. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Doing great, Phil. Of course, yeah, back for another week here with IndyCar, NASCAR, F1 all on the plate here. But yeah, solid weekend of racing. So yeah, ready to get into it.
Yeah, and I mean, busy weekend for sure. All three major series that we cover here on the show took place, and we're gonna talk about all of those with Kyle Kirkwood and Andretti having a big weekend at Arlington in the first IndyCar race around the Jerry World and the Globe Life Stadium field, whatever the hell they call it. The Cup Series, seeing Denny Hamlin get a second consecutive win at Las Vegas. And the Chinese Grand Prix with Andrea Kimi Antonelli getting his first career pole and victory after the sprint race saw George Russell get the pole and victory in that one. So the new, of course, is Andrea Kimi Antonelli getting the job done there. Something old, no offense, Denny. And then, I mean, I would say that the Andretti being up front and having three of the top four is kind of a little bit of both. Because it harkens back to the old days when they were one of the dominant teams in the series, and then it's new because you had Will Power getting his first podium for a team that wasn't Penske in a long, long time. We'll go over all those things. We'll talk about a chaotic Rally Kenya for WRC, the Indy NXT at Arlington. Had an interesting race and a late race pass for the victory there. F1 Academy, good start to the year there. The veteran drivers being able to do their work. And then, of course, IMSA will have the 12 Hours of Sebring. They've been away since the Rolex, so back at it. A new bridge on the Ullman Strait will be greeting them this coming weekend. So the back straight going into Sunset Bend. Arizona Nationals for the NHRA. MotoGP Moto2 will be in Brazil. And Madrid will be hosting Formula E a few months before they host their first ever Formula One race. We will make our picks for Darlington and the tripleheader there, the throwback weekend, which at least Colleague Racing has tried to do something with that, with their teams, with their trucks. I'm not sure how many other people will participate. Josh will let us know all things going on in iRacing, gaming, in the sim segment, and we'll call it a day. So yes, let's go first to the NTT IndyCar Series at Arlington, Texas, the third consecutive week of IndyCar racing to start the year. 3 races in 3 weeks. Then and saw a third different winner and a third different points leader in the process, with Kyle Kirkwood going out there and getting the victory on Sunday, making a great pass in the last corner of the racetrack to go, or next last corner of the racetrack to go and pass Alex Palou there. It was a race. The pit strategy, you had the change on street courses of having to use 2 sets of reds, I think has added a little bit of intrigue. It also has made some of these races more interesting. I think this race definitely was more interesting than St. Pete was, at least after that first pit stop. Before the first pit stop, I think it was pretty good, and then after that, it was not much of a race. But in this race, I think there was a constant movement. There were 8 lead changes, and there were 4 drivers that led a vast majority of the race, and 3 of them were Andretti cars. Go and look at the notes I had over here. The Andretti team ends up finishing 1, 3, 4. Go through the rundown here and then get into the Andretti notes. Kyle Kirkwood with the win over Alex Palou. Will Power gets his first podium for a team not named Penske since 2008 when he was with KV Racing. Marcus Ericsson started on pole, finished 4th. Kirkwood, Palou, Power all led 16 laps. Ericsson led 15, so they're your top 4 there, led the majority of the race. Pato O'Ward in a home game finished 5th, essentially. Texas boy there. David Malukas finished 6th. Christian Lundgaard from 18th finished 7th. Scott Dixon, who had issues in practice and qualifying, was able to come from 20th to finish 8th. Alexander Rossi and Marcus Armstrong rounding out your top 10. Scott McLaughlin, who was fastest in first practice, crashed in qualifying and would have been a likely favorite, I think, if he had gotten through qualifying. But in the end, had to start tailback, as Rusty Walsh would say, and came all the way back to 11th there. Joseph Newgarden, who came into this race as a points leader, finished 15th. And yeah, there were 20 cars of the 25 starters on the lead lap. Christian Rasmussen brought out only the first yellow of the day, and that was with 3 laps to go, whatever. The Nolan Siegel crashed into Roman Grosjean, coming to what was supposed to be a green-white checkered finish. But in the sense that for Kyle Kirkwood, he's been consistent these first 2 races. One of the young stars in IndyCar racing, getting into his prime now. He's the lead dog at Andretti. Honestly, their best hope, I think, to win an IndyCar championship. And going out there, making that pass on Alex Palou, and Palou basically came out and said he didn't have anything for him. But for Andretti Global, with their involvement in so many different areas and all the different Dan Towers businesses they have on their cars these days. But for Kirkwood, Josh, he's shown speed. Of course, he's a great street course racer. 5 of his six wins in his career have been on street courses. And for that team with Ron Ruzinski coming over here to the Andretti team as well with Willpower, it seems like there's been some influx of information or ideas, or maybe some damp work on the dampers so that they could go and drive through the bumps better, have better grip. But I mean, all you can say is credit to Kirkwood to go and beat Alex Palou straight up. Not many people can say that in the last, 4 or 5 years. So Kirkwood going out there and getting the job done, taking the points lead for the first time in his IndyCar career, and good momentum going to the first permanent road course in a couple of weeks' time at Baba.
Yeah, it was a really solid weekend of racing here at Arlington. Kyle Kirkwood, of course, really fast car, of course, made a mistake in qualifying that prevented him from being in the Fast 6 there. So was able to recover it in the race. Obviously, fast car throughout. In the top 5 throughout the race. So it just came down to the end. The pace that he had compared to Palou. They even went on lower downforce than what Palou was running. So that tells you, even on a street course, where all that's important, just how good of a handling car that he had compared to the rest of the field there. So not only that, but they had pit stop mistakes throughout the race, not only for Kirkwood, but for Ericsson, for Will Power throughout the race. So even with that, they were able to recover from that, and Kirkwood was able to get the victory, of course, and Will Power is on the podium as well. Ericsson, of course, first career pole in IndyCar, first pole since 2013 in GP2, finished in fourth there. So really solid weekend overall for Andretti Global there, of course. Palou in second, like you mentioned there. So Palou straight up got beat by Kirkwood on the street courses, and I think comes to the street course racing, I think obviously Kirkwood is the guy to beat there, I think, and Alex Palou otherwise has been really good, but surprisingly just hasn't had as much success as Kirkwood has on the street courses, but he overall has been the guy to beat the last 4 or 5 years here in IndyCar. So it was really solid weekend of racing, of course, and then I mentioned the yellows there at the end. I saw a clip. It looked like Kiffin Simpson actually got into Nolan Siegel there at the end, but that was kind of the cause of that final accident there. So surprisingly, we mentioned it offhand before the show, but not a lot of yellows, of course, until the very end, which obviously, like you said, is the quality of the series is pretty good, even with maybe drivers with questionable history and all that stuff. But at the same time, they also put in a lot of sim prep for this, of course, and they'd never seen this course in person before, before this weekend. So credit to all those guys for preparing for this and being able to mostly go throughout the race with a clean race there. So it was a very entertaining race, I think. Even with the street course as bumpy as it was, you saw in practice clip of Alexander Rossi just how bumpy that track was on a street course. Even with all that, made for some really interesting racing throughout. And it's definitely looks like, from what the crowd looks like, it looked like it was a sold out event. And definitely looks like, this should be a key event on the calendar for the next couple of years here in IndyCar. And, definitely looking forward to the presence it'll be able to build around that area and, continue to grow the series as well. So, it was a really, really good weekend for the series. And, I think, Kirkwood now is the points leader. So it's going to be interesting to see, can he hold on to it, or is, Palou going to go on a tear like he's known to do and reclaim that and, go on his way to winning a title again. So, now we go into the first off week, of course, like you said, going into Barber in a few weeks, and then soon it'll be the month of May. So, it's starting to get good here in IndyCar, and with the first 3 weeks back to back to back, great momentum to build up interest for the rest of the season.
And we'll talk about it more during the Formula One when we talk about the Chinese Grand Prix, but there's a great opportunity for IndyCar coming up in April with having a presence with their races both at Barber and then they'll also have Long Beach, the Long Beach Grand Prix, which of course is one of the greatest street course races and one of the greatest races that's ever been, historic races. I guess it doesn't count. The race at Barber is still in this month, in the month of March, but I was thinking that was April too, but so my bad on that. But Long Beach will be in there, and it'll be an opportunity to have some different eyes on the series as well. The standings, of course, heading into Barber, the first permanent road course of the season. Kyle Kirkwood leads by 26 points. He has 3 top 5s in 3 races. That's the kind of performance you need to have if you want to go and hold off someone like Alex Palou. Palou has finished in the 2 races he's finished first and second. So there's that. Pato O'Ward is 3rd in points, tied with Joseph Newgarden. They are at 33 points behind Kirkwood. McLaughlin is 5th. Maluk is 6th. Christian Lundgaard 7th. Marcus Ericsson moves up to 8th. Marcus Armstrong 9th. And Alexander Rossi rounds out your top 10. He has all these drivers in the top 10 have at least 2 top 10 finishes to start the season. And the top 9 have at least 1 top 5 finish. Dixon and Power just outside there, 11th and 12th in points. So we'll see how it goes. First break for these IndyCar teams. It's going to get, after Long Beach, it's really going to get busy for them with, as Josh mentioned, with the month of May, because they're going to end up having the race at the Indy Road Course, the 500. Then they'll be racing just on basically nonstop, seemingly, especially in the month of August. They'll be racing, 4 consecutive weekends. They'll race 5 consecutive weekends to end the year, actually. So that'll be pretty crazy. All right, let's move forward to the Cup Series at Las Vegas. Wasn't the usual, I think, 1.5 mile race that we've seen with this next gen or Gen 7 car. But, I think in the grand scheme of things, not every race can be a barn burner. So this one definitely fits that in terms of it not being the most entertaining or exciting race, unless you're a fan of Denny Hamlin. But, for the driver of the number 11 car, he started second, was super confident this whole weekend, didn't win a stage, but led the most laps and got good stage points. And I mean, there were really 4 drivers that dominated the front of the field. It was 2 Hendrick cars and 2 Gibbs cars. Hamlin, Bell, who started on pole, William Byron, who won stage 2, Bell, who won stage 1, and then Larson, who finished second in both stages. Those were the 4 that really were the dominant figures. But for Hamlin, Keebler Gibbs and Chase Briscoe all had speeding penalties on the day. The speeding penalty, and then I think there was another mistake that took place that cost Briscoe a lap, and then he was basically a lap down most of the day and needed to fight back to get back into the top 10. We'll go through the results here. Denny Hamlin, your winner. Chase Elliott, William Clyde Elliott II was second. Byron third. Bell fourth. Keebler Gibbs fifth. Christopher Buescher, the best Ford, in sixth. Larson seventh. Briscoe eighth. Bubba Wallace was ninth. Good stage points again. Trying to give himself a cushion if by chance he has to miss a race for the birth of his and why am I forgetting Bubba's him and Amanda's second child, their first daughter. Brad Keselowski from 28th to 10th, doing the old Dale Earnhardt, qualifying bad and then moving up, but usually would go and win. That's the difference. And Ryan Preece was 11th, got stage points. Tyler Reddick got stage points, but fell back late and finished 13th. Blaney 16th, and Cindric 19th. SVG, after a strong start to the year, had issues and finished last. Connor Zilich brought out the only yellow for cause on Sunday, finished 32nd. Defending race winner Josh Berry was 31st and started 32nd. So it's crazy to think what's happened in a year to that 21 team. A year ago, they were one of the fastest cars out of the blocks, and they seem to have a lot of pace. And for a while now, it hasn't seemed like that's been the case. I think they had shown some pace during the playoff last year, but they had so much bad luck in the playoff. It's almost like they're in that same doldrums now, and well back. But the Penske cars were off all weekend, really. I mean, Blaney did qualify decent, but fell back. Logano only started 21st, finished 15th, and then Cindric started 31st and finished 19th. So wasn't a good day for the Penske organization, or for Spire, for that matter, or Trackhouse. Those were some of the organizations that struggled. Justin Allgaier was filling in for Alex Bowman, finished 25th. So, yeah, that's takeaways there. Denny Hamlin passes Kevin Harvick to become 10th all-time by himself in Cup Series wins with 61. First win post the passing of his father. First win since, of course, the awful end to the season for him at Phoenix, where he was 3 laps away from becoming a Cup Series champion, and then it got taken away from him. Then his whole family was there. His oldest daughter was super emotional. His mom, he was able to give his mom a hug and all that. He was emotional, so it was a nice thing. I think the Gibbs guys being fast every single these last couple of weeks, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Starting to wonder if Briscoe's getting all the 54 equipment these days on top of having bad luck and self-inflicted wounds, which might explain some of the crap that's gone on, but that's just conspiracy theory me, because my favorite driver's struggling. But the Chevys seem, and at least the Hendrick Chevys seem to be all right. I'm not sure about the other Chevy teams, but the Hendrick Chevy were fast, and all seem to be in a position. The 3 that, are in regular position seem to be fast enough with this new body style change, and they were able to compete with the Gibbs cars. But in the end, it was Denny Hamlin. He gets himself back into the top 10 in points, puts himself right in position, gives Toyota now their 4th win in 5 races to start the year. Josh.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin, of course. Super emotional for him. It was interesting seeing him climb out of the car. A lot of times, fans boo him when he gets out of the car after a win, and he kind of, goads him on and all that stuff. But, it seemed like everybody was cheering for him in the stands. They were all real happy for him, of course. And I think a lot of people online, of course, after all he's been through in the off season, of course, with his family and losing his father and all that. But, also the lawsuit on top of that, of course, I think maybe there's some respect there as well for pushing that change to improve the sport and all that. But Denny obviously had a really good car there to get the lead at the end from William Byron in the final stage. Had a really good car throughout. Of course, Chase Elliott was closing there in the end, and got within about a half a second. Perhaps maybe if the race were just a few more laps longer than that, maybe Chase Elliott could have had something for Denny Hamlin there. But I kind of also think Denny was kind of just managing the gap there, and just maintaining things. And even if Chase Elliott was able to get even closer, it just wouldn't have really amounted too much, because Denny probably would have pulled away there. So obviously really good car for Denny there. Chris Bell, of course, had fast car as well. Led laps was up there for a bit. Won the first stage there. You mentioned Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs, and it's interesting, ever since the lawsuit for Gibbs against Spire after Chris Gabehart has left Gibbs for Spire, and allegedly, according to Gibbs, took proprietary information with him. Ty Gibbs was named in the lawsuit because of his performance with Gabehart, or was at least as a figure in this, because he was with Gabehart last year, and ever since that came out, like, Ty Gibbs has been finishing in the top 10 or the top 5 like every race. So it's interesting how that works out, but at least he's performing well for once. But for Briscoe, of course, struggled with the season, but I mean, solid result, I guess, in 8th to start to get things better for him after bad starts of the year. The Hendrick Chevys, of course, Larson, Byron, Elliott, fast, of course. Dylan had at least some speed, of course, the best non Hendrick Chevy out there. Trackhouse, I mean, seems like they're off. SVG fell from 5th, I think, to 7. I mean, he's out of, I think, in 17th now. So really bad fall off for Shane Van Gisbergen in the last couple of races here. So looking forward to seeing how they can recover. Of course, finished last there. So really bad for him. Zilich, of course, caution there for him in the final stage there. So Trackhouse, of course, out to lunch right now. Daniel Suarez getting into it on pit road with Ross Chastain, the Dirty Mo Media admin, getting into it online with Suarez's wife there. So that was the only real drama in the race, of course. So it wasn't really like the Las Vegas race that we've seen the last couple of years with the next gen car, but there was still plenty of battles, plenty of moments throughout the race there where they were going at it. It just seemed like, after the first couple of laps after a restart, things got kind of spread out there, and especially if you have a really, really good car there, like Denny Hamlin or Chris Bell or even Byron to a lesser extent, you were able to kind of drive away there. So and it seems like Denny Hamlin now with 61 wins, now he's trying to see if he can maybe get to 67 or something like that. He mentioned that on his podcast, so we'll see if he's able to get to that. But I guess for the standings, of course, Bubba Wallace closing in on Tyler Reddick a little bit, down to 61 points there in the point lead. So for 2311 as well, in addition to Denny Hamlin, they're off to a good start on the year. So now we're going into kind of the meat and potatoes, I guess, of the off or of the season here with the mile and a halves and some of the more traditional tracks that the Cup Series goes to. Of course, Darlington's up next, but and I think now next couple weeks we're gonna kind of find out who's actually for real here in this season. So Tyler Reddick, of course, out to a big lead, but we'll see the next couple of weeks if he can continue to maintain that lead, and who else can try to close in on him as we start to get into the season now that we've had a few races under our belt.
Yeah, a lot of good points there. I mean, bringing up Keebler being mentioned in the NASCAR lawsuit with Gabehart, and conveniently all of a sudden in the last, I think, 3 weeks, Keebler Gibbs has looked like he actually has a clue driving a cup car. When he never really has. Seems convenient. While Chase Briscoe struggled and had mechanical problems at a couple of races. I mean, there's tire issues / I think maybe a mechanical going on at Phoenix too. So I think yesterday was more self-inflicted. Hell, he got a speeding ticket going to the racetrack and then got caught speeding on pit road. So but two of his other teammates, then Keebler did too. So there must have been something wrong with how they were taking their digital dashes and all that. But I mean, that was one point that, with the way that JGR is running right now, Gibbs has to perform. I mean, he's never going to lose his job, even though he stunk for most of his Cup career. But it's brought him to the forefront, and he's changed his tune a lot from the cocky, arrogant, douchey kid that he was when he was winning all the time in the Xfinity series. He's been humbled pretty good, I think, these last few years. And he's basically become kind of like a puppet. Like, he sounds like William Byron, basically. Very robotic in his interviews, doesn't really say much anything. Oh, I'm happy to be here. Oh, I'm happy about my team. And, it's the same bullshit. So, the guy's like being basically made vanilla. He's become vanilla for the sake of, I guess, his long-term future, because dude sucks. But yeah, I mean, for Hendrick and Chevy, I'm holding up the fort because, I mean, I look at the top 20. Yeah, I mean, Chastain was 17th. Him and Suarez were fighting each other. Suarez has become extra feisty since he's gone to Spire, it seems. His wife likes to go and jaw at people on social media too. It must be a family tradition or something. Going after people in the media, being assholes. But for Trackhouse, it was a terrible day. Lost a lot of points, especially for SVG. Fell from 5th all the way out of the playoff. Zilich, it makes sense that there's a struggle. He's a rookie, and it's a Cup Series. You're not going to have great days every single day, especially when you're a rookie. It's not the days of more times than not, you're going to have what like Joey Logano went through. I mean, it's similar to what Logano went through when he came up. Burnett is a good crew chief. They're a good organization, but I think they're a little bit off at the moment. And so we'll see what they do at Darlington. It's a hard track. Briscoe's already came out and said if they're this loose at Phoenix and whatever, they're going to be wrecking loose, and then they're going to have limited tires too. So that's going to be an interesting thing as well this coming weekend with these cars. For the Hendrick cars, though, with the new body style, it seems like it's working for them. And, in terms of their viability, Elliott's up there in points, Larson's moved up, and Byron, they're holding up the fort because they know basically it's going to be those three guys. The 48's done for all intents and purposes. So, they're going to have to hold. Oh, yeah, that guy just got nailed in the freaking face. Watching the World Baseball Classic. Then credit to the RFK team for RFK not being able to go out there and hold up the Ford Blue Oval there because of what with their pace, and for Buescher taking a good qualifying run, getting a top 10 finish out of it, while Penske struggled. Zane Smith is another one. I mean, he's had a really good start to the year. He's another person that's interesting as we move forward in future races, what Zane Smith can do. Maybe he's taking that next step forward in his career and maybe taking over as that lead dog at Front Row Motorsports. While you harbor an idiot stick and Gagson, and then you have Todd Gilliland there. So we'll see. Going to the points here. Let me go back over here to. Is that kind of looks like? No, that can't be. I looked at. Yeah. So right now, of course, Reddick leads the points. He's led the points all year. has a 61 point lead on his teammate Darrell Walsh Jr., 67 on Ryan Blaney. Hamlin moves up to 4th. Elliott in 5th. Christopher Bell is in 6th. Larson 7th. Byron 8th. They're all within 100 points. And from 2nd on through 8th is only separated by 37 points. So that's a good segment there for a bunch of guys that are likely very solid to make it in as long as they continue down this path. Christopher Buescher is in 9th, Keebler Gibbs 10th, Logano, Keselowski, Preece, McDowell, Hocevar, and then it shows SVG 16th, but he's tied in a 3-way tie with Suarez and AJ Allmendinger. So I think that tiebreaker's best finish, I guess. So, and they're only a point behind Hocevar there, and McDowell is further 4 points. So they're 5 points separating 14th through 18th. Preece is there. He's got a few more points. Zane Smith's 19th in points, ahead of Ross Chastain. And then looking at some of these other drivers here, Zilich, continues to be dead last amongst all the regulars. He's 2 points behind Custer and Ware. Josh Berry is only 6 points ahead of him. He's had a brutal start to the year. Gillen Cindric is now in 30th. Briscoe has moved up to 26th in points. As it stands, just using his 24 and it's 41 points, it looks like. Yeah, I think it's 41 points. Behind 16th at the moment. So it's not like completely out of control yet, but he needs to basically not have any more really bad finishes if he wants to compete honestly for the championship. That top 8 really kind of looks like they've gone on their way. They're on they have good momentum, so don't want it to let it go too far. Let us see. I wanted to go and see because I figured Racing Reference would have a greater breakdown of points. They do better than what J-Ski does with the NASCAR, the NASCAR feed. They go like I don't know if there's a place where they show you like stage wins and stage points. I think that would be that would be one to have, I think, to show and see amount of stage points that people have earned so far. Running at the finish, 3 out of 5 races, 24 average, 15.4 average start. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go over to the O'Reilly Series. Was the Liuna, 300 at Las Vegas. Going here, and Kyle Larson goes out there and gets the victory. Chase Briscoe from 23rd finished second in the 19 car. Got stage point in both stages, but had issues, had to come back. Sheldon Creed, Justin Allgaier won both stages and led the most laps, finished 4th. Sammy Smith was 5th, Jesse Love 6th, Connor Zilich 7th, Corey Day 8th, William Sawalich 9th, Hank Hill was 10th, Quapple 11th, Bruckshot Jones was 13th, Parker Retzloff was 12th there. Good run for him, keeping him up in the points. Cole Custer driving for SS Greenlight finished 18th. Sam Mayer started on pole, finished second in stage one, led 32 laps but had issues. Ended up finishing 35th. Taylor Gray had stage points in both stages, was running up front, and then got sent by Sheldon Creed in the race there. There was a few cautions in this race for cause, but that was the biggest one. The double that was on lap 149, where Sheldon Creed went and sent Taylor Gray into the wall, knocked out basically the only contender from Gibbs that they had up to that point, because Briscoe was having to battle back through the field. But Larson late in the race was able to get track position with all the restarts, and also managed lap cars better. He was able to get through traffic easier than Briscoe and utilize those things to go and get that victory on a weekend where, of course, his high limit series was running their first race of the season. He was jumping in and out of sprint cars, and then jumping in an O'Reilly car, Cup car, back in a sprint car, et cetera, et cetera. And Corey Day was doing the same thing. Corey Day led his first laps and looked like he might have had an opportunity to possibly get that first win, change a narrative that he's had early in the season, Josh. But in the end, Hendrick car won, and it was the veteran over the pupil.
Yeah, of course, yeah, you mentioned the high limit series for Larson. Yeah, there was a clip of him jogging, I guess, after the press conference to switch over to the high limit car, and thought that was interesting there after he won that race, and probably delayed him getting over to the high limit series. But no, yeah, he of course, yeah, I was watching, kind of checking in on the race and then watching the highlights. I mean, kind of more in the back half of the top 10 for him. I mean, he started second, but he wasn't quite up there for a lot of that, and so was for his protege there and Corey Day there. But yeah, Larson, of course, the last restart of the race, able to get a really good jump on the outside and take the lead, and then just it was a matter of managing traffic, like you said there. And I think Briscoe looked like maybe towards 20 laps to go or so, Briscoe was looking like maybe he could start to run a different line and try to catch Larson, but Larson was too far out there in front of him to really get a chance there. And then Larson got the win, of course. Like I said, Allgaier dominated, of course, during the first part of the race. They're getting the two stages, had a really good car, and continues to run his point lead so far, with Jesse Love 13 points behind him there. So continue to getting stage points for him. So pretty viable for that, of course, outpointing Jesse Love in the race and in the stages there. So yeah, of course, yeah, Junior Motorsports, great start to the year, of course. Sammy Smith, of course, finishing in 5th as well. So yeah, they had speed, of course. Connor Zilic, of course, involved in the first yellow, overshot the first corner in lap 2, and got into Jeremy Clements there, but he was able to recover from that, finishing 17th there, or 7th there. So yeah, overall good day for Junior Motorsports. And yeah, for other guys, I mean, of course, the other Junior Motorsports driver that's driving Jordan Anderson car, Raja Karuth, think that's probably a difference there. Started 8th, probably had a good run going throughout, but ended up in 19th. And after the first couple of races in the JRM car, and maintaining a couple of top 10 finishes, now he's had a couple of races outside the car. So looking to see what he can do now that he potentially maybe get back into that 88 car. I think Alex Bowman was scheduled to be in that 88 car next week at Darlington, but of course the issues Alex Bowman's had with his health. Wonder who they'll put into that car for Darlington here. I guess that's on the entry list here for next week at Darlington. But for Carruth, of course, 19th on here. So yes, there'll be opportunities to recover from that. But yeah, you mentioned the only real, I guess, drama of the race. Taylor Gray got cleaned out by Sheldon Creed there late in the going. Kind of interesting there. Kind of just drove deep in the corner for Sheldon Creed and just took out Taylor Gray, who was of course a lap leader to that point. Like you said, one of the only Gibbs cars that was really competitive until the end there. But solid Xfinity race or O'Reilly Series race for GM Motorsports, and the overall good action throughout the race, kind of showing the differences between Cup Series and the O'Reilly Series there, with more yellows in this race than what we saw in the Cup race on Sunday there. So yeah, solid race, I guess, and we'll see what they I guess produce next week here at Darlington with part of the throwback weekend.
Yeah, and how hard those cars are going to be able to drive. They only have 200 miles in that race, but it's still going to be interesting to see how they drive. They last year and recent years, I think they've had double headers, but this year they're going to do the trucks on Friday night, and they're going to do the O'Reilly Series on Saturday afternoon. I think probably I have to look at the schedule there, but we'll see what happens with that. I mean, for Allgaier maximizing stage wins, they're getting his first 2 stage wins of the season. He won a hell of a lot of stages last year to go and take the points lead, or maintain the points lead, I guess, over Jesse Love by 13. Austin Hill, 29 points, back in third. Creed in fourth. Quapple in fifth, and that was his third different car in 3 weeks that he's driven. I think he's driven he's driven 3 or 4 different cars. I think Carruth's driven 2 so far this year. So I give there's got to be extra credit there for what Quapple's doing and Carruth is having to do relative to some of these other guys. Smith, Day, Carruth, he had an off day last week, but I think when he's able to get back into the 88 car and run that, he'll be fine. I think it puts more emphasis on him probably maximizing stages and maybe getting a win here sooner rather than later, which I think is possible. Obviously, being in a JRM car. Parker Retzloff doing a great job for the Viking team, keeping them up in the points now. He's 9th in points, ahead of all the Gibbs cars, ahead of one of the Haas cars. I mean, there's some solid drivers here that are on the outside looking in. Behind Retzloff, Mayer, Jones, Gray make up your 12 so far. Gray getting cleaned out, notwithstanding, currently 12th in points, 6 points out of Jeb Burton. Brennan Poole is 13 points back. Sawalich 15 points back. Staropoli actually not too far behind. He's 13 and you have 23 points back there. So and then Alfredo's 28, Sieg 29 with Perkins there. So that's Clements hasn't had any luck. I mean, Clements has run way better than being 21st in points. So I think he's someone to watch if and when they can get some consistency and get out of their own way, maybe qualify a little better, because those Haas cars seem to be really fast this year. Creed seems to be a lot more confident, of course, post winning his first career race there. All right, let's move on to Formula One. Was an interesting weekend at the Chinese Grand Prix, and saw first the first sprint with this new power unit and car, the whole deal, and it saw Ferrari being able to continue with their great starts, but Mercedes going past them and eventually winning. And in the with the race itself in China, there the sprint results. Let's go through those quickly. Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Norris, Antonelli, Piastri, Lawson, and Bierman were your point scorers. Fishlips had a terrible start and only got back to 9th. He missed out on points. Ocon. Arvid Lindblad had DNF, along with Bottas and Hulkenberg. The Aston Martins actually finished the sprint race, along with Sergio Perez. And then that was... I'm trying to think what was sprint qualifying. Verstappen was 8th, and then he had that bad start. McLaren sandwiched Lewis Hamilton. Russell had started on pole there. Gasly, Bierman was up there. Isaac Hadjar there. So, and then in the Russell going 2 for 2 in poles and races, and then going into the regular race, he had problems. Russell had problems in Q3, which allowed Kimi Antonelli to get his first career pole. Russell was able to recover and still start second. Lewis, third, just by a few thousandths over his teammate Charles Leclerc. The McLarens took up row 3, or at least we thought they would. Gasly with a great performance to get into Q3 and qualify 7th. Fishlips and Hadjar 8th and 9th. And then Bierman rounded out your top 10. Lindblad had issues in practice and with his car, and then had issues in the sprint. So the fact that he even got into Q2 was something. The Williams duo was knocked out along with Aston Martin Cadillac in Q1 there. And then in the race, get into the race, might as well. Saw Andrea Kimi Antonelli become the second youngest winner in the history of Formula One by 5.5 seconds over George Russell. Had an incident, had a ran off the track late, but was able to recover from that and go and get the job done there for Mercedes. Mercedes gets a 1-2. Ferrari got the better start. Lewis was leading the race. There was a lot of swapping of positions, but in the end, it was Lewis who was able, and great battle that Lewis had with Leclerc there to race that, or finish out the race there. But in the end, Lewis gets his first podium for Ferrari. Mother's Day in England is Mother's Day yesterday. So it was a happy Mother's Day for his mom, being able to be there, and he celebrated her, and they went off on a interesting journey. They went I don't remember exactly, prior to going to the Chinese Grand Prix there. So being a great son, I'm trying to do the same thing for my mom, because it's a milestone coming up for her here next few weeks. Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc, Ollie Bierman finishes 5th. Pierre Gasly, Liam Lawson, Isaac Hadjar, Carlos Sainz, and Franco Colapinto get points. points for Williams after what has been a brutal start to the year. Lawson, after getting outrun by Lindblad all weekend at Australia, had the better of it this weekend. Hadjar finally gets a finish. He finished last car in the lead lap. Alpine getting double points score there is huge in the midfield battle. In terms of cars falling out, both Aston Martins fell out. And then 4 cars didn't even start the race. Both McLarens did not start. Lando Norris never got out of the garage. Piastri got out of the garage, but then was pulled off the track prior to the start, warm up and all that. Gabriel Bortoleto, after the issues for Hulkenberg at Australia, doesn't start. And then Alexander Albon doesn't start either for Williams. Both Aston Martins fell out, as I said. Alonso, the vibration issues getting to the point where he couldn't feel his hands or feet at a point. And Stroll 9 laps in. And then Fishlips had some sort of issue when he wasn't bitching and moaning to the media, and had to pull off while running 6th. But, I mean, it does something new. Kimi Antonelli gets his first career win, brings a little bit of momentum back to his side of the garage, him and Bono, to go and try and keep it interesting with George. They'll have the Japanese Grand Prix, and then they're going to have a month off, because the 2 races after that, being that they were in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, because of a certain situation going on these days, have been canceled. Those races have been canceled and are not going to be made up. And that goes for F1, F2, F3, and the F1 Academy. So they're going to have, after the Japanese Grand Prix, a month off to go and make a lot of changes. A lot of these teams are going to have to expedite all those changes and upgrades and stuff like that. But before that, I think Mercedes seems to have the upper hand, and they proved it once again this weekend, Josh.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Mercedes continues to have good momentum here, and continuing to show that they have the best power unit on the field here. And despite the early start there for Ferrari with Hamilton and Leclerc getting a good start to take the lead initially, seems like once things get going, the Mercedes are able to kind of take over, and continue to see that there with Kimi Antonelli, now the second youngest winner, like you said, and not only that, but the first Italian winner since Giancarlo Fisichella 20 years ago to win in F1. So, good milestone there for him, of course. But like you said, you mentioned the cancellation, and maybe that's an opportunity for some of these teams like McLaren, of course, with Piastri having issues the first 2 races now, and now Lando Norris having a did not start, of course, here, giving them maybe an opportunity after the Japanese Grand Prix to try to get things up to speed, so they don't continue to have these issues here. Hopefully, I guess for them, they can get a start at the Japanese Grand Prix. Of course, huge points haul already for Piastri there, and of course for the team in the Constructors Championship here. So, lots of these teams here. Red Bull, of course, issues for Hadjar the first race, now with Verstappen here in the second race. So, continuing to have issues there for some of these teams, the power units, Aston Martin, of course, for Alonso and everybody else. So maybe there'll be opportunity here for them to get some kind of upgrade to have less DNFs or whatever. So a bit of a break in the momentum, of course, here with the new regulations, of course, and everything. And of course, you mentioned it kind of earlier, I guess, alluding to the break in the action. I guess we talked about with IndyCar. It's certainly a chance for IndyCar to get some momentum for. I think they already have a lot of momentum, but more momentum for them as F1 has a break in the action here. And of course, seems like there's a lot of polarizing opinions. Verstappen, of course, very upset about the rules and the regulations, of course, and of course, a lot of people, with how this power unit works, it seems to be a lot of people like it, but then there's a lot of other people that dislike it and all that, and now breaking the action from that. So otherwise, I mean, the podium, of course, with Antonelli, George Russell, and Hamilton, of course, looks like things never change for Mercedes. And Toto was like, yeah, he still drives for us. So in the I think that was after the podium for the sprint race. So for Mercedes, obviously looking like potentially could be another run for them this year. Could maybe potentially be another run. They mastered the previous, or I guess not the previous, but the rules change in 2014 that with the hybrid units there, and that led to their run of domination. Perhaps maybe with these 2026 regulations, maybe it's the start of the run for them again. So we'll see if they can continue this throughout the first portion of the season here. I guess after Japanese Grand Prix, they'll have a huge break until they get to Miami Grand Prix in May. So the first couple of races here seems like Mercedes has everybody covered here, I guess, in F1.
And that's a part of Formula One. Some teams hit it, some teams don't. And obviously in the previous rule set was Red Bull that did, along with Honda. And then there after that, I don't really know who else. Then McLaren eventually got on it. But after that, there was really Ferrari was on and off, inconsistent. Mercedes was very inconsistent. So, in this case, Mercedes definitely has. In terms of their customers, Alpine looks to be doing very well. On the flip side of that, McLaren has had numerous issues, 3 DNSs out of 4 in regular races, which is really bad. Josh mentioned this with the Constructors' Championship. They're gonna it'll be almost impossible, I would think, to come back unless they come with huge upgrades for Miami. I think the Japanese Grand Prix will be similar to what we've seen these first 2 races, and then there's gonna be a start of a secondary championship, I think, with the Miami Grand Prix. And they'll have 2 more flyaway races, because it'll be Miami and Montreal before the European season starts with the Monaco Grand Prix, and they will have 6 rounds in Europe before they take their summer break. So, and I think that'll be around the time, that summer break will be around the time when they do the I guess the compression ratio deal, where I think they're going to change the rules for the compression ratio and temperature testing or whatever it is, which may be where one of the advantages that Mercedes has. So there's going to be different, I think this season, in a lot of ways, there's just different portions of the season, just different championships in its own right. You're going to have this first 3 races, which is going to be like it's like different chapters. That's what this is like this is like a epic novel is what this is. And the first chapter is going to be done at Japan. Chapter 2 is going to be the 2 flyaway races after the month off. Then Chapter 3 will be the European season, the 6 races before the what do you call summer break, and then the next chapter will be after that, and there's going to be a huge development race to see if Ferrari can make inroads on Mercedes and some of these other teams too. But we will see with that. The result, we'll get into the drivers' points. Sees George Russell with a 4-point lead over Kimi Antonelli. Leclerc is third, 1 point ahead of Hamilton. Leclerc is 17 points back, so Hamilton 18. Ollie Bierman currently fifth in points. Lando Norris sixth in points, the last driver with double-digit points so far. Only 3 drivers of cars that probably could score points in theory haven't scored points in Ocon, Hulkenberg, Albon so far. But I find it's going to be very difficult for Cadillac or for Aston Martin to score points at the current rate that they're at. Cadillac, though, is ahead of Aston Martin because they've had a better finish in the first 2 races. Mercedes has a 31-point lead on Ferrari, and they have an 80-point lead on McLaren. So when Josh was talking about trying to make that comeback for McLaren, 80 points is in 2 races is pretty bad. They're only a point ahead of Haas and 6 points ahead of Red Bull and Toro Rosso. And Alpine has 10 points right now. So right now, from 3rd to 7th is only separated by 8 points. But I figure it'll flush itself out. McLaren and Red Bull will move forward. And then that battle between Haas, Racing Bulls, Alpine, Audi, and Williams will take off here after the Japanese Grand Prix. All right. So that is that for the 3 main series. So let's get into the roundup here. WRC ran Rally Kenya, and it was a chaotic event. The Toyotas were dominating this race, and they were going to sweep the podium. But in the end, they had issues. On Saturday, Efren Evans destroyed his right rear suspension, fell out there. Sebastian Ogier overheated and or had a electrical problem, and then couldn't and had to fall out of the race there. Oliver Solberg was also had an overheating issue. So those 3 guys were up front and were likely going to make up the podium. In the end, they all end up, at least for Oliver Solberg and Ogier and Evans, they were racing for those points on Sunday to make up after what was a lost weekend. But Toyota didn't leave empty-handed from this rally. Takamoto Katsuda became the first Japanese driver to win a World Rally Championship event since 1992 by 27.4 seconds. He had a minute and a half or so lead, and he just kind of took it easy to make sure he made it. Hyundai with Adrian Formeau finished second. Toyota with Sami Pajari finished third. Esa-Pekka Lappi for Hyundai finished fourth with 2 minutes, 10 seconds in penalties. Pajari had 20 seconds in penalties. The Rally 2 winner, Robert Verves, was fifth overall. And then Gus Greensmith, Zaldivar rounded out those the Rally 2, Andreas Mikkelsen was 8th. Oliver Solberg got a point in the end in 10th. Ogier, Neuville, Evans, Jester made up 10th through 13th there. John Armstrong for Ford was 15th. So the standings, the championship standings, as they go to Croatia in a few weeks' time, and about a month's time, Efren Evans holds a 8-point lead over Oliver Solberg, and Takamoto Katsuda, with his first rally win, moves up to within 11 points of his teammates. So Toyota's 1 through 3. Formo is 19 points behind in 4th. Sami Pajari in 5th. Ogier in 6th. It's going to be hard for him to defend his championship unless he goes on a kind of a heater like he did last year. Neuville, Lappy, all kind of close in points there. Verves, who's Rally 2 driver, Leo Rossell rounding out your top 10 currently after 3 rounds. Some of the Rally 1 cars still need to get some points there. So we'll see if that happens in Croatia or the Canary Islands and Portugal and whatnot. Go to Indy next. They raced at Arlington, and Max Taylor from New York, running Susan G. Komen on his car, goes and gets the victory, makes a great pass late on Enzo Fittipaldi. And that was a great job by him. 15-lap timed race. It was a 30-minute timed race. So credit to Taylor there to get the job done. Enzo Fittipaldi had led the majority of the race. Taimak Kacharik was 3rd, even though he had caused an incident early. Juan Manuel Correa, Lockie Hughes, Nikita Johnson, who won at St. Pete, Seb Murray, Matteo Nannini, Miles Rowe, Jordan Missig, Alessandro De Tullio, who had started on pole and gotten moved by Kucharik, ended up finishing 11th there. So what was it? The 45 jumped 2 starts, jumped the original start, sent to the back of the field, then jumped the restart and got a stop and hold for 30 seconds. The 4, Nicholas Montero got a drive through, and then the 17 of Salvador de Alba, he hit a bunch of things too, so he also got a penalty. Josh Pearson got into an accident the last corner, or stopped in the last corner actually, or he actually did crash in the last corner. Colin Kaminsky wrecked at the start of the race because of the accordion effect there. Point standings for Indy next, as they their next race will be at Barber. They'll do a doubleheader there. Sees Max Taylor take a 10-point lead over Nikita Johnson. Taimak Kacharik is 3rd, Lockie Hughes 4th, Seb Murray 5th. Very close between from 4th through 8th, with Miles Rowe there, only 10 points out of 4th, but giving up a lot of points at the moment. Taylor with 2 top 5s so far this year and a win. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. And get into F1 Academy. First race for F1 Academy this year. Multiple American drivers in on the grid. So their next round was supposed to be Jeddah. They won't be going there, so they'll have a couple of months before they race at Montreal. So, unfortunately, the results of the weekend saw Nina Gateman for Alpine and for, what is it called? MP Motorsport get the victory in race 1. It's just clicking on. I want to actually see. Okay, there you go. We'll do that. Palmowski qualified on pole, and then Feldmeyer ended up winning race 2. So in race 1, it was Gateman, Granada, Feldmeyer, and Ferrer, Palmowski, Peyton Westcott, the American for Mercedes, and Prema finished 6th. Ella Lloyd, Ava Dobson, another American, finished 9th. Robertson, Haley Countryman was 16th. Alba Larson had issues and finished last, one of the championship favorites. Then in race 2, Feldmeyer, Palmowski, Peyton Westcott gets a podium. Gateman, Lloyd, Alba Larson moves up to 8th in that second race. Ava Dobson finishes 10th. So points for her in both rounds. So the point standings, as they move on, they'll have a nice break. Feldmeyer leads by 6 points over Palmowski. I guess the first race they use is only 8. The top 8 score points. So I guess that's and it's like the way that they do it in the sprint. They treat it like a sprint race, and then they do a feature. Same kind of point standing. So Feldmeyer 6 points out of Palmowski. Gateman was 3rd. Peyton Westcott 4th. Ferreira, Lloyd, your top 6. Ava Dobson, yeah, she did get a point there in race 2 then. So yeah, she's on the board. Currently, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers that haven't scored, and they'll have a good couple of months to practice before their next round in Montreal. We'll go to, the 12 Hours of Sebring. IMSA back for their first race since, of course, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And go through the trying to entry. This stupid thing is not working. All right, finally did work. Great. In the you'll have Mustang Challenge, Super Trofeo, Carrera Cup. Then you have the Michelin Pilot Challenge, which will have 50 cars in that race. In the 12 Hours of Sebring, is going to have 55 cars, 11 in the prototype, in the GTP. You'll have, of course, the two Acuras from Meyer Shank, the Cadillacs from Wayne Taylor and Whelan Engineering, so 3 of those. WRT with their 2 BMWs, the Aston Martin Harder Racing, Porsche with 3 cars, the 2 Penske cars, and then the JDC Miller, which will have throwback Mustang sampling paint scheme on their car. Kalen Frederick driving for JDC Miller. You got, of course, Ricky Taylor and Jordan Taylor for the Cadillac. Trying to see. And Colton Herta actually is going to be driving this weekend for the 40 team. Tom, of course, Colin Braun for Acura Meyer Shank. They'll have Scott Dixon driving with them. And then the 93 will have Alex Palou. Then in LMP2, you're going to have 12 cars in that field. United Autosports, CrowdStrike by APR, George Kurtz there, and trying to see who else. Naveen Rao for Aero Motorsports, and Jacob Abel, that's Aero Motorsports. Dan Goldberg for United Autosports at 22. The Intersport team will have Seth Lucas and John Field. 43 Inter Europol, Bejoy Garg and Jeremy Clark. Jerry Kraut is JDC Miller. And then VJ Hyatt, Dane Cameron with the AL Racing prototype. Of course, Roxy will be back for GTD Pro for AL Racing this coming weekend in the number 77. GTD Pro's 13 car field, BMW, Paul Miller team will have one out there. Porsche will be represented by AO Racing and Manti. Ford will have two of their Mustangs out there. Ferrari will have one or two with Tree RC and Risi Competizione. Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan will have their McLaren out there. Windward Racing with the Mercedes in the Pro category and also in the AM. Corvettes will have two cars. Lamborghini with their new Temer Ario debuting with FAF. And then Lexus for the Vassar Sullivan. Verhagen D. Filippi, so. And then GT Daytona, biggest class, 19 cars there. So we'll see how it goes at Sebring. NHRA, you back this weekend. The Firebird at Firebird for the Arizona Nationals, the Factory Motor Parts Arizona Nationals. See how that goes with the momentum there from what took place at the Gator Nationals. See how that all works out. So the likes of Josh Hart can go and pick up right where he left off at the Gators and go and get another win. Funny car, see how that all goes. And let's see, there's a bunch of Chevy, one Ford, and Chargers, Chip King. Yeah, everybody else is like Chevys. It's annoying. And Pro Mod and Pro Stock. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 20. All right, so there'll actually be some intrigue in qualifying. For 20 for 16. There, Cody Anderson driving. Then you have, so I'm trying to see. Matt Hartford, of course, won in Pro Stock at the Gator Nationals. So see if he can continue that momentum there. In Fuel Funny Car, Austin Prock trying to make his first race of the year after failing to qualify for the Gator Nationals. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So one car will fail to qualify for this race. Couple of newer people, different people in this week. More West Coast guys trying to make an opportunity to make a show there. But you have Chad Green coming off of winning his second consecutive Gator Nationals in funny car, trying to go and keep that momentum going into this race. And then in Top Fuel, looks like a short field, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So yeah, short field, whoever qualifies number one gets a automatic bye into the second round. So qualifying should be a little bit more interesting that way. Tony in his second race with the R&L Carrier sponsorship and Elite Motorsports. You'll have Josh Hart trying to go 2 for 2, driving for John Force. Maddie Gordon in her second race for a rookie season. Leah Pruitt back, of course, and so we'll see how that goes. Move forward to MotoGP and Moto2. It's been a little bit. MotoGP. And yeah, they postponed the Qatar GP to later in the year, and they have rescheduled the Portuguese and Valencia Grand Prix. It looks like they're gonna go to the schedule there just out of curiosity. They'll be racing at Brazil this weekend, and next race will be in the U.S. Grand Prix at Coda next week. Then they'll have a month off before they go to Jerez, and then they'll go to France, Catalonia, Italy at Mugello. So yeah, there'll be the dates are final. Yeah, so dates are the final 3 rounds of the championship. So they've moved. Yeah, the Portuguese Grand Prix will be on the 22nd of November, and then Valencia will move to 29th. So that's what they've done. Formula One has decided to not reschedule their races, the races in the Middle East, but MotoGP decided to keep theirs. It's just going to be later in the year, hoping that this war ends. Coming off of course, the first race of the year was at Thailand. Marco Bezzecchi was the winner over Pedro Acosta and Raul Fernandez. Jorge Martin giving Aprilia 3 of the top 4. Ayagura was 5th, so 4 of the top 5 for Aprilia because Trackhouse is the satellite team. Fabio Di Gianantonio, best Ducati. Binder, Morbidelli, Bagnaia, Marini are top 10. Mark Marquez, Alex Marquez, the top 2 in points last year, were not classified along with Joan Mir there. So Toprak Raskat Lioku in his first MotoGP race ended up 17th. The Yamahas were definitely not fast. They were 14th, 15th, 17th, and 18th this last race there. So in Moto2, what is it? Manuel Gonzalez, Guevara, Holgado were podium. They had to do half points. Joe Roberts wrecked out on the first lap. I picked Karras. I knew that. I've seen him in that Red Bull whatever juniors thing. And then so that's Moto 2. And so we'll move on from there. And then Formula E, go through the points with Formula E quickly, or as quick as I can. Going to Madrid. Let's get to Cupra, Raval, Madrid, E-Prix. Jake Dennis and Andretti agreed to a multi-year contract extension. All right, good for them. Standings heading into this weekend's event. Pascal Wehrlein has a 6-point lead on Eduardo Mortara, who had 2 poles in a row. Won both poles at Saudi. Oliver Rowland, 3rd in points, 19 behind Wehrlein. Nick Cassidy, 4th, 20 back. Mitch Evans, 21 back. And Nico Muller, 23 back. Antonio Felix da Costa, Jake Dennis, and Sebastian Buemi. Only one so far, kind of are still in the mix there early in the season. After Madrid, they will take about a 6-week break before they race a doubleheader at Berlin. Then they'll be at Monaco for a doubleheader and in May, and then, which is a precursor, of course, to the Monaco Grand Prix, a few weeks later with Formula One. Then they'll do an Asian Trek in June and July, both in China and in Japan, before returning in August to London for the last 2 rounds of the championship. All right. So we will move forward to our picks here. Get into the truck series. First, the buckle up South Carolina 200 or whatever. 36 for 36. So nobody's going to fail to qualify. Sawalich will be in the 1 for Tricon. Corey Heim will be in the 5 for Tricon. That's a new number for them. Clayton Green driving for Team Rayum. Connor Mozak in the 7 for Spire. Let's see here. Corey LaJoy driving the free agent truck for Colleague. Yeah. But Greg Van Alst was withdrawn, so yeah. Okay, so he thought he was gonna fail to qualify, I guess. Connor Jones is driving the 42. Ross Chastain in the 45. Chris Bell in the 62 for Halmar. Nathan Nicholson driving for Freedom Racing Enterprise. The 77 for Spire will be driven by Hocevar. And Justin Carroll driving his 90 truck. Caleb Costner. So those are some of the smaller teams that'll get an opportunity. Greg Van Alst didn't want to take that, risk of DNQing. So there you go. Let's see here. Last week, yeah, that's Joe was right. He picked Denny Hamlin and Keebler Gibbs. You pick Larson for the win in the Xfinity Series, so there you go. I had AK. I just had to swap the Mercedes drivers there. Okay. Oh, well, not bad. That's for me doing picks. So yeah, Josh, you get first dibs here. for Darlington and the trucks. Who are you looking at to win?
Yeah, I think to win, go with Lane Riggs here to win, and then I guess as a wild card pick, go with. I guess I'll go with Corey LaJoie in the free agent truck.
Yeah, not bad. He, of course, has plenty of experience in a cup car there, so some opportunity there for sure. I think that's. I mean, we'll see what Kaulig's able to bring to the table this weekend. I am going to go with. I'm actually going to go Ty Majeski to win, and my wild card will be Chris Bell. So, Ty Majeski, veteran, knows how to save tires because of his late model experience. So, I think it's his kind of track. And I mean, I think with the night, it might be a little bit different. They might be able to manage him a little different. It might be cooler, but we'll see. And then with Christopher Bell, that's a full-time truck, but it's a newer team, so it's an opportunity there. Get some laps at Darlington. The O'Reilly Series, the Sport Clips, haircuts help a hero 2 VFW 200 or whatever. Sport Clip, haircuts, VFW help a hero 200. That's a mouthful. 40 for 38, so a couple of cars will go home. Says 88 is TBA, but I think Larson said that he was driving it again this weekend.
I haven't heard anything.
But I don't know. It's either Larson, but to me, if they really want to do, well, it would be tough on Caruth to go, and I wonder, Quapple at least is back in the one car this weekend, so that's good. But Smithley back in the 0, the 5. It doesn't have anybody listed. For Hettinger, the Ford team. Ross Chastain will be driving the 9 for JRM. Chris Bell will be driving the 19, so he'll be doing triple duty this weekend, Chris Bell. Got Myatt Snyder driving again for Barrett Crope. They failed to qualify last week. Caruth driving the 32 for Jordan Anderson. Go 35, doesn't have anyone listed. Nathan Burr driving the Young's 42. And Joey Gase driving his own 55. The 88, I think, was supposed to be Bowman, you said. I figure that, because they were all the Cup drivers were going to get some opportunities in that car. But we'll see who gets the call there. Josh Williams has failed to qualify for a race here recently, so it's just to make the show will be a win for them. I think Alex Labate driving the 91 this weekend. And Dawson Cram, former guest on the show, he failed to qualify last week. See if he can go and make the show this weekend. I'll go first here. I picked him as a wild card in a truck, but I'm not picking him as a wild card here. I'm going to pick Christopher Bell as the winner. And then in terms of a wild card, need to get the points brought up here just out of curiosity. In terms of drivers that have driven every single race, Brent Cruz isn't even. How is Brent? Because it's over a mile, he can't go and drive a track over a mile in length. Damn, that's crazy. 24 plus, what is it? It's 28. All right, so there's 28 drivers that have run every race so far this year. My wild card, well, I talked about him earlier. I'll say it, Jeremy Clements. He's a South Carolina guy. Family, everything. It's a opportunity, I think, for him to make amends and get a nice solid finish at his home racetrack. So Christopher Bell to win and Jeremy Clements wild card. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I was gonna say Jeremy Clements. I was thinking about him after he had a couple of spins here in the Las Vegas race here, but I guess yeah, for the winner, yeah, I will say that Christopher Bell in the 19 wins in the JGR All-Star car.
So we're both picking Chris Bell?
Oh, no.
I can go and change.
No, don't change. I will, I don't know why I totally didn't think about that, but okay, well, you pick Chris Bell. Well, I'll go with, I will go with the 88 car, whoever is end up in the 88 car. I will go with, if it's Larson, I will pick Larson again to win.
88 car to win.
Yeah.
And I'm putting it TBA in the 88 car to win. And then who's your wild card?
I'll go with LeVar Scott.
All right, yeah. LeVar Scott, trial by fire for him in the Xfinity O'Reilly Series, so we'll see how it goes. Last but not least, Cup Series at Darlington. Hocevar running a 1981 Wrangler throwback with the what's it called? With the I think chilies on the car. Yeah, he's doing that is quite a uniform. My God. And then chilies, and then they're gonna run it. Yeah, so at least they're doing a throwback. So Dale Jr.'s happy about it. So he's got the Dale Jr. seal of approval, and that's all that matters. Redneck Jesus signs off on it. You can't go wrong. There's 37 for 40. Nobody going home. Only open car is the Timmy Hill Carl Long team Garage 66. So I'm not sure who's going to run a throwback or not. People have gotten to the point where they're not even trying anymore. So it's a shame, really. But I know Briscoe's running the Freebird Springwater car this weekend. Oh, there's that. Yeah, Josh, who do you see this weekend? I mean, Darlington's going to be crazy, I would say, with this car and the way things are set up and everything.
Yeah, I think for me, go pick Denny Hamlin to go back to back here. Actually he won the race last year too in the Carl Edwards throwbacks. So yeah, I'll pick him to win there. And I guess wild card, can go with let me look at the standings before I say who's in. Well, I mean, he technically qualifies, but he's in 20th in the standings right now, so I'll pick Ross Chastain.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ross Chastain. Yeah, so and Trackhouse needs a good run here after a bad one here this past weekend. For me, in terms of Darlington, I am going to go. I'll go Larson to win, and my wild card will be Chase Briscoe because he's 26 in points. So Kyle Larson to win and Chase Briscoe wild card. All right, so we'll see how that goes. Josh, it's your time to shine, and tell us all the things going on iRacing, gaming, and the sim segment.
Yeah, for me, sim segment, of course. Yeah, this week in iRacing, of course, the season 2 update is live, of course. Last week, the trial week and everything. Yeah, for that, if we go to this week in iRacing season 2, yeah, of course, downloaded the St. Pete Street Course. Tried that for a couple minutes there on the NASCAR Truck Series car for well, I didn't download the Ram truck, but I mean it's basically, I mean they're all kind of the same, it's just different skin. But yeah, I tried it on the Ford truck that I have on iRacing, and yeah, it's a pretty solid course. You know, definitely sliding around in the truck on that course, and you know, definitely the Pioneer Park section was a pretty good park section before you get into turn 9 and turn 10 there. So yeah, it's a solid track, and you know, definitely gonna get a lot of use for the iRacing IndyCar series and all the other series here. So yeah, I mean, now that the season 2 update is live, of course NASCAR iRacing series is back this week at Darlington. There will be fixed and open schedule races for that series. The iRacing IndyCar series here as well. Week 3 of 17 actually going to be at the St. Petersburg Grand Prix this week. So I guess a fill-in race for the week, and also give the IndyCar iRacing community a chance to try out the new track after the first race of the season a couple of weeks ago. Then the iRacing Nürburgring Endurance Championship, week 1 of 10 taking place this week on the combined Nürburgring circuit there. Dirt Car 410 car sprint car tour at Dirt Track at Charlotte. Dirt Super Late Model Tour taking place here at Eldora. NASCAR Modified Tour taking place at South Boston this week. Super Late Model Tour taking place at Irwindale this week on the outer circuit there. And special series here, daily, they call it the daily series, of course. You got the FIA F4 Formula 4 regional challenges with the challenge series here at VIR for the challenge series, America's tour at Landmark Park, Asia Pacific tour at Okayama International Circuit, and European tour at Circuito de Navarra. TT3 regional tour this week, America region at Summit Point Raceway, Asia Pacific tour at Okayama International Circuit, and Europe tour at the Alton Park Circuit. The Draft Master Challenge this week, Gen 7 car at Talladega, the Rainmaster Challenge class, or GT3 class at Mugello, and then the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series qualifying series here this week, week 5 of 11, taking place at Homestead, Miami. First race on the O'Reilly portion of the calendar, so I guess they're racing the O'Reilly Series cars this week for that there. Yeah, and then I guess for the regular series here, looking at the Sports Car Cup, Global MX5 Challenge, Advanced Cup at St. Petersburg this week. So during the St. Petersburg Grand Prix weekend, that was one of the races there. They had a handful of MX5 Cup races at St. Petersburg there that weekend. So kind of call back to that. GT3 Fixed Challenge also at St. Petersburg here. So may have to try that out later in the week. And everything. I think the iRacing 12 Hours of Sebring's coming up. I've not made any arrangements to drive anything as of yet right now, so that's still to be determined there. And everything's still trying to get some familiarity with Sebring and the LMP2 car and the GT3 car there. So not sure yet if I'm gonna do that, but of course it's already there's already been some signups for some leagues that will be attempting that. That's next weekend, the weekend of the 27th. So that's a Saturday, Sunday affair there. So yeah, back in the swing of things, of course, iRacing here in season 2. First week of season 2 now. So yeah, be an interesting deal here with all the new content here and some of the graphics updates with the user interface there. So yeah, go and check that out. You have iRacing and everything. Of course, all my streams at UCLR2 on iRacing and or on Twitch, and then where I stream iRacing, and then of course Twitter page at JP Huffine on Twitter, and our Gripster Podcast YouTube page on YouTube at Gripster Podcast, and then my personal photography page for racing and rocket launches at Josh Huffine Photography on Instagram. There, just posted some Truck Series pictures there on that page, so go see that from the Truck Series race at the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, and then try to post some of the IndyCar practice and qualifying pictures is there as well. So yeah, back in the swing of things, of course, here, and I guess kind of a light week in terms of upcoming in terms of coverage, I guess, with just NASCAR at Darlington this weekend, but certainly throwback here, and we'll see if all the paint schemes, if people actually participate or not. So yeah, be an interesting weekend of racing here, but definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Wouldn't want to do it with anyone else, man. So it's great. Thanks as always for your insights and contributions and your work on the back end, especially on the YouTube side and just in general. And we'll see if you're going to end up driving at Sebring, because Sebring is definitely a challenge for sure. Forgot to mention, actually, Matty Brabham's 2 for 2 in Trans Am this year, driving for Chris Dyson. He won at Sebring for the first race, and then he won at Road Atlanta this past weekend. Looks like a good, strong favorite, I think, to win the deal, which would be nice. Better than Paul Gentilosi's team winning again, but with Paul Menard. I didn't know that Paul Menard was driving for him, and now I'm like, oh, God. But that's beside the point, and I digress. You can find me, Phil, PGM GSP 28 on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, maybe PG Matthew 28. Don't really go on there that much anymore. Gripster Podcast, of course, on YouTube, as Josh mentioned, GSP 1428, and then philipgmatthew.com. The audio feed you can get on my WordPress page, and then podbean.com. And yeah, that is that. We will be back for episode 308 of the Gripster Podcast, go over everything that took place at Darlington. Roundup will have even more loaded content there, and then we'll be previewing the Japanese Grand Prix, making picks for that, and IndyCar will be back at Baba, so we'll have that, and then of course Cup and O'Reilly will be at Martinsville, so plenty to take in and see in the coming weeks. So as always, for Josh, I'm Phil. Thanks for subscribe, tell your friends about us, And yeah, we will see you next time on the GSP.